Hey, welcome back. Some stories stick with you because of what happens in them. This one stuck with me because of how honest the guy telling it is about himself and about how badly he almost messed it up. He's 40, twice divorced, pretty much done with the whole idea of love. And then a 27-year-old woman moves in next door and says something to him in the hallway that he still can't shake. What he does next is not smooth, but stay with him, because the way this one turns out, I did not see it coming. Let's get into it.
Okay, so I'm going to tell you something, and I need you to not judge me until the end. Deal? Deal. The 27-year-old who moved in next door to me told me to my face on a Tuesday that she likes men my age. And I'm 40. I'm twice divorced. And instead of saying something smooth, something a normal, functioning adult man would say, I panicked. I actually panicked. I said, and I quote, "Cool, yeah, good for you." And then I went inside and closed my door like the building was on fire. Good for you. I still hear it. 3 a.m. sometimes, I'm just lying there. Good for you. Like she'd told me she got a raise. All right, let me back up. Because if I just start there, it sounds like a completely different story than it actually is. And this one earned every gray hair it gave me. My name's Dennis Kowalski. Everybody calls me Den. I'm 40 years old. I live in Cleveland, West Side, Lakewood, if you know it. And I'm a licensed electrician, have been for going on 18 years. I run a little 2-man operation now, me and a kid named Marcus, who's 23 and thinks I'm 100. I do residential mostly, old houses. Cleveland's got a lot of old houses, and old houses have terrible wiring, which is great for me and bad for the people living in them. The twice divorced thing, yeah. Let's get it out of the way, because I know how it sounds. First marriage, I was 24, too young. We were kids playing house. Her name was Steph. She's a good person. We just should have been friends. Lasted 4 years, no kids, mostly amicable. Second one was Rachel, and that one actually broke something in me. Married at 31, done at 36. She didn't do anything terrible. I didn't either. We just slowly turned into 2 people passing a phone charger back and forth in silence. One day she said, "Den, when did we stop?" And I didn't have an answer. And that was kind of the whole answer. So by 40, I'd made peace with it. I really had. I had my routine, work, gym, twice a week, if I'm honest, which I'm not. Sundays, I'd get a coffee and walk down by the lake and just exist. I'd decided love was a thing that happened to other people, younger people, people who hadn't already swung and missed twice. I wasn't sad about it. Okay, I was a little sad about it, but I'd made it comfortable, like an old couch you know you should throw out. And then in March, the apartment next to mine opened up. I'm in a 4-plex, 2 units down, 2 up. I'm bottom left. Bottom right had been empty since old Mr. Peterangelo passed. He was 80-something. Used to yell at the mailman. I miss him. So the unit's empty a couple months, and then one Saturday there's a U-Haul out front, and boxes on the lawn, and a woman carrying a lamp like it personally offended her. That was Maya. Maya Bennett, 27. And look, I'm going to try to describe her, but I'll probably do it badly, because it wasn't a movie thing with the light hits and music plays. It was more that she was just very present. You know those people? She walked like she was already late and didn't care. Dark hair, always kind of half falling out of whatever clip she jammed it into. And loud. God, she was loud. First thing I ever heard her say was to the U-Haul guy, "That's not where it goes. No, put it down. You're going to scratch it." And I thought, oh boy, okay, here we go. So I did the neighborly thing. I went out, I said, "Hey, need a hand with any of the heavy stuff?" Just being decent. And she looks at me, up and down, 1 second, and goes, "Are you strong or are you just tall?" And I said, "A little of both." And she said, "Fine, grab the couch." And that was it. That was the entire audition. I passed. We hauled her stuff in for like 2 hours. And here's the thing I noticed, and I want you to hold on to this because it matters later. She was sharp, like funny sharp, but also there was an edge to it. Everything was a little bit of a test. The U-Haul guy did something wrong. Her friend who showed up to help was doing it wrong. At one point, she snapped at me for stacking books in the wrong order. And I said, "There's a right order?" And she said, "There's my order." Completely serious. And normally that'd be a red flag, a big waving one. And honestly, it kind of was. But there was this other thing under it, like she was bracing for something, bracing all the time. Anyway, we finish. She gives me a warm beer from a box. We sit on her floor, because there's no furniture set up yet, and we talk for like an hour. She's a dental hygienist, moved from Columbus. "Fresh start," she said, and did this little air quotes thing that told me the fresh start was running away from something. Didn't push, not my business. And that was the beginning. For a couple weeks it was just nice, neighbor stuff. She'd knock, "Den, my outlet's sparking," and I'd come fix it and not charge her, obviously, and she'd make me terrible coffee. She locked herself out twice, and long story, I've got a way in through the shared basement. She started leaving her mail on my mat by accident, and I started leaving it back. That kind of thing. I liked her. I want to be clear about the order this happened in. I liked her before any of the other stuff. I liked that she was quick, and that, under all the sharp edges, she was actually kind in these small, weird, specific ways. She found out Marcus, my guy, doesn't eat lunch half the time because he's broke, and she just started making 2 of whatever she made and leaving 1 on my truck for him. Never said anything about it. That's who she actually was, under the armor. But I was not. I want to stress this. I was not letting myself think about her like that. She's 27. I'm 40. That math does something to your stomach when you're me. I'd catch myself and I'd go, "Din, stop it. You are the guy who fixes her outlets. That is the role. Play the role." And then came the Tuesday. It was raining. I remember because I'd been out on a job in it all day, and I was soaked and miserable. And she catches me on the shared landing, and she's got this look. She'd clearly had a rough one too. And we're standing there, both dripping, and out of nowhere she goes, "Can I ask you something weird?" And I said, "Sure." And she says, "Why are you single?" And I did the thing men do. I deflected. I said something like, twice burned, haha. And she doesn't laugh. She just looks at me, dead serious, and says, "The guys my age are exhausting. They're all little boys pretending. I like older men. Men who've actually lived a little. Men who know how to just be still." And she's looking right at me when she says it. Right at me. And you already know. Cool, yeah, good for you. Door, fire, gone. I stood in my kitchen for like 10 minutes just staring at the fridge going, "What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you, Dennis?" Because here's what was really going on in my head. And it wasn't smooth or romantic. It was pure fear. It was, she can't mean me. She's being nice. Or she's messing with me. Or worse, she does mean me. And then what, huh? Then I'm the 40-year-old dating the 27-year-old, and everybody looks at me a certain way, and it blows up in 18 months like everything else I touch. And I lose the one good neighbor I've got and have to move. My brain did all of that in about 4 seconds. That's what good for you was. It was a guy with 2 failed marriages choosing to run. So for a week, I dodged her. Genuinely. Timed my exits. It was pathetic. A 40-year-old man peeking through the blinds to avoid a girl who was nice to him. And she noticed, obviously, because she's not stupid. She's the opposite of stupid. And she got colder. Which, I'd learn, is her whole thing. You pull back an inch, she pulls back a mile and puts up a wall. So now we're 2 people slamming cabinet doors through a shared wall like an old married couple who never even dated. And that's when Trevor showed up. Okay, Trevor. This is the part that got complicated. So one evening I'm coming home and there's a car I don't know in the lot, and there's a guy leaning on Maya's door. Late 20s, nice jacket, the kind that costs too much and says too little, and he's not yelling, but he's doing that thing, that low, insistent thing. Maya, just talk to me. Just open the door. Come on, don't be like this. And through the door, I can hear her, and her voice is different than I've ever heard it. Smaller. Trevor, I told you, go home. And I did the math real quick. This is the something she ran from Columbus for. This is what all the armor was about. Now, I want to be honest about myself here. Part of me, the dumb caveman part, wanted to walk over and puff up and do the whole thing. But I'm 40. I've learned that guys like Trevor want you to do that, because then it's a fight between 2 men and she's just the prize. And that's exactly the dynamic she's trying to escape. So I didn't. I just walked to my door real casual, and I said loud enough, "Hey Maya, that guy from the city still coming by tomorrow about the wiring? I gotta be here." Total lie. But it did the thing. It told Trevor, she's not alone here. There's a neighbor. Somebody's around. And Trevor looks at me, sizes me up, and I saw it. He clocked the age, and he smirked. This little smirk, like, who's grandpa? And he said, "We're good, man." And I said, "Didn't ask if we were," and just went inside. Left the door cracked. Listened. He left about 10 minutes later, peeled out of the lot like a teenager. 10 minutes after that, knock on my door. It's Maya. And her eyes are red, but she's not crying, she's furious. Which I'd learn is what she does instead of crying. And she goes, "I didn't need you to do that." And I said, "I know." And she said, "I handle myself." And I said, "I know you do." And she just stood there, kind of vibrating. And then she said the realest thing anybody'd said to me in years. She said, "Then why does it feel good that you were here?" And I didn't have a smooth answer for that one either. But I didn't run. That was the difference. I just said, "You want to come in? I've got coffee that's better than yours," which isn't a compliment because yours is a war crime. And she laughed. First time in a week. And she came in. So that was the night the wall came down a little. She told me about Trevor. And it's not a dramatic story, which is what made it real. They dated 2 years. He never hit her, I asked, straight up. And she said no. And I believed her. But he was the kind of guy who makes you feel crazy, who's charming to everyone else. So when you say he's a problem, you sound like the problem. Who'd just show up. Who kept just wanting to talk for a year after she ended it. She moved cities, and he still found the address. That's the kind it was. The kind nobody believes because there's no bruise to point at. And I told her about Rachel and Steph, the whole twice divorced resume. And I said the thing I was scared of. I said, look, whatever this is, I'm going to be straight with you. The age thing scares me. And I've got a track record of ruining things, so... And she said, Dan, I don't care that you're 40. I care that when a guy was leaning on my door, you found a way to help that didn't make it about you. Do you know how rare that is? The boys my age would have either thrown a punch or filmed it. And I thought, well, okay then. So we started. I don't even know what to call it. Seeing each other? At 40, you don't date. You just kind of end up in each other's apartments a lot. It was good. It was really good. But, and here's where I have to be honest about her, because I promised you her character was complicated, and it was. It was not smooth. Maya is hard to love. Not impossible. Hard. She tests people. Constantly. It comes from the Trevor stuff. From before that, too. From a dad who left. The usual architecture of a person who learned early that people leave. So she'd pick fights. She'd say something cutting and watch to see if I'd leave. She'd go cold for a day for no reason I could find, and I'd have to figure out that she'd gotten scared because things were going well. And good things going well is the scariest thing in the world to somebody who's only ever had them taken. We had a big one about 6 weeks in. Huge fight. Over nothing. Over me making a plan for us without asking. Some dumb dinner thing. But it wasn't about the dinner. She blew up. Said I was just like everybody. Said she knew this would happen. Said maybe we should stop before it got worse. And she said the cruelest thing she could find, which was, no wonder 2 women left you. And that one landed. That one really landed. And the old me, the runner, wanted to say something equally cruel and slam the door and prove her right. But I'd figured her out by then, so I didn't. I stood there and I took the hit, and I said, that was designed to make me leave, and I'm not going to. You can try again if you want, but I'm still going to be standing here. And she just crumpled, sat down right on the floor of my kitchen and cried for real. First time I ever saw it, the actual crying and not the anger she uses to hide it. And she said, why aren't you leaving? And I said, 'cause I already know you. The mean stuff isn't you. That's just the guard dog. I like the person the dog's protecting. That was the turning point. I really think it was. Not a kiss, not a big speech, just me not leaving when she'd loaded the gun and handed it to me. Now, I told you it wasn't over with Trevor, and it wasn't. About 2 months in, he escalated, started texting her from new numbers, showed up at her work once, at her work, sat in the waiting room of the dental office pretending to need a cleaning until she came out and saw him and had to go hide in the back. That's when it stopped being sad guy and started being scary guy. And I want to tell you I did something heroic here, but I didn't. And that's kind of the point of this whole story. Real life isn't heroic. It's boring and procedural, and that's what actually works. What we did was, I sat with her, and instead of me handling it, I helped her handle it. We documented everything. Every text, every showing up, times and dates in a little notebook. She filed for a protective order, actual paperwork, actual courthouse, took 2 trips and a lot of waiting on plastic chairs. Not dramatic. I just drove her and sat with her and held the folder. And the one time he did show up at the building again, and he did once more, I didn't fight him. I opened my door, phone already recording, and I just narrated, calm as anything. It's 8:14 p.m. Trevor is at the building. Maya has a protective order. I'm documenting this. That's it. And you could see it hit him. That this wasn't a movie where he gets to be the wronged romantic guy. This was a paper trail. This was consequences. This was boring adult reality. And boring adult reality is the one thing guys like that can't stand, because it doesn't give them a story to tell. He left, and he didn't come back. Sometimes the win isn't a punch. Sometimes it's a timestamp. Okay, I'm going to land this plane, because I could go on about the hard parts forever. But you came for the ending, and the ending's the good part. It's been a little over a year now. Maya still lives next door, technically. I say technically because she hasn't slept in her own apartment in about 4 months. And last week, she said, in her Maya way, not romantic at all, she goes, "This is stupid. I'm paying rent on a closet I keep my clothes in." And I said, "So move in." And she said, "Obviously, don't make it a thing," and walked out of the room. That's her version of yes. That's as soft as she gets, and I wouldn't trade it. The age thing, you know what? Nobody cares. I thought the whole world was going to look at us funny, and mostly the whole world is busy with its own stuff. My mom loves her. Marcus loves her, mostly because of the free lunches, but still. Her friends took a minute to trust me. The older guy thing, fair. But the same friend who helped her move, the one Maya snapped at that first day, she pulled me aside at a barbecue a few months ago and said, "I've never seen her like this. Like, safe. Don't screw it up." And I said, I'd rather die.
And here's the thing I keep coming back to. That Tuesday. Good for you. The single dumbest thing I have ever said to a human being. I spent that whole first week thinking I'd blown it. That fear had cost me the one good thing to wander into my life in a decade. And it almost did. If Trevor hadn't shown up and forced my hand, I might have dodged her for a month and let it die out of pure cowardice. So if there's I don't do lessons. I'm an electrician, but if there's anything in this, it's this. She was right that rainy Tuesday. Not about older men being better. That's whatever. That's her thing. She was right that the boys were exhausting because they were pretending. And the reason a 40-year-old, twice divorced, panic in the hallway idiot ended up being the one, it wasn't because I was smooth. God knows. It's because I've been broken enough times to finally stop running the second it counted. I stood still. That's the whole thing. She wanted someone who'd stand still. And it turns out, getting your heart kicked in twice is really good training for standing still. Good for you. Yeah, turns out it really, really was. Anyway, she's yelling at me from the other room right now that I'm telling it wrong and making her sound mean. She's a little mean. I love her. Both those things are true. That's the story. That's the whole thing. 40 years old, and I finally got it right by not moving. Go figure.